All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your option and market recap for Thursday, May 24th. Whipsaw Thursday, and it was kind of like it was yesterday. Just a different way, different way that we started the day. Yesterday, we obviously came into the market, and things were already, had already sold off and we managed to kind of move around to the upside yesterday. Today we started down a little bit, and we got the political headlines about no meeting occurring with Mr. Trump and the North Korean guy. So that caused markets to really sell off. I thought a little bit too much. A couple of trades that I had either put on recently. I put on Baba in the morning, and that did not, very frustrating when something like that happens. But you kind of just learn to stay the course and not trade too much with emotion and just kind of weather the storm. And one of the things that I've been talking about a lot in this market is you can't really go in. I mean, again, my opinion. This is videos for information purposes only, not giving advice. But for me, what's helped me is really not to go into trades big. And when you first get involved in a trade, either it's for the most part I do more swing trading than anything else. When I get into a new swing trade that I'm looking at, it really helps if I kind of just completely dial down the risk. And if I trade a 10 or 20 lot to start out with, and I may get up to a 50 lot, sometimes I'm just going in with like a 4 lot to start and working my way up, just like for Baba, for example, right? We'll kind of look at this. Might as well go to the stock that I'm talking about here. Let me just lower my volume here. But yeah, so something like this on the first 5 minute bar, that looks good. The pattern, the overall pattern looks good. But it just makes a lot more sense right now, considering that there are headlines that are seem a bit unpredictable. You could get positions cheaper, and it's the same thing with option activity too. If you're one of traders, as of many who follow option activity, for example, we saw a big trade in a couple different names. I think that I mentioned in yesterday's video. We saw a lot of Citigroup calls. You could have gotten into those Citigroup calls that went up on the tape yesterday for maybe a third discount. Same thing with another name that I mentioned too, Hess. Oil was down today, so you could have gotten into that trade that went up on the tape for probably about 20-30% cheaper than what's on the tape. And that's really been how this tape has been functioning. It's one of those where what's been working well is you just leave yourself plenty of room, and maybe have the mentality of starting a position and then just adding to it on weakness, and just not getting over the tips of your skis. So that's really been what's working. So regardless of chart setups and so forth, that strategy of just leaving a lot of room to add to positions, and when you think things are like make stupid moves. Like I thought today was a completely stupid move today for the S&P to sell off. I think it was down at 1.75% on a meeting that I don't even think many people thought was going to happen in the first place. So you you have to leave some dry powder for these stupid market reactions. And I say it in almost every nightly video, is that you will get a chance to buy cheaper if you play your cards right. And then on the days where we move up decently, you just have to be able to say that you're going to take some money off the table. So that really, to me, makes more sense than anything else. So I could start to look at some of the trades that we did. So Baba, I think this is setting up for, if it holds in here, I think this is setting up for a move to the outside. That's why I got long that name today. I'll start with the name that I talked about in last night's video. Talked a lot about Amazon. Amazon's starting to make the right move, and I'm taking targets all along the way. I sold put spreads, I believe it was a week ago. So I'm synthetically long when you're short put spreads. Basically all I need Amazon to do is just stay right here, and that that premium will go to zero. So that's a nice little way to play Amazon, and that's working pretty well. And then Netflix had some good continuation. So really nice move in Netflix. Continuing to go higher. I think that really looked pretty well. Did pretty well. PayPal. This is a name that I've been long now for a couple weeks. Took a target today right around the highs of the day. So again, that's just been the name of the game. Yesterday's trade that I talked about, SIG, which I thought was a really nice counter trend trade, working extremely well. So up 3%. I laid this out in last night's video talking about Tiffany's had great numbers, and possibly this would spread over to SIG, which we saw call buying in yesterday. So again, how I use option activity, right? Something that really wasn't on my radar, and I wasn't really thinking about SIG after Tiffany's earnings, but a call buyer in that name yesterday got me involved, and was able to take a couple targets in that trade today. And now I'm messing with the profits. So killer looking trade there. So I think that's most of about for yesterday's trades. Might as well just go to my trade blotter because I feel like I'm forgetting something. I did take the MRO trade today. There was enough calls. So we talked about energy plays a couple times. With oil down today, I've taken some profits in some of the trades that I've had on, some of the swing trades that I've had on energy names. So now I'm kind of looking, now that they're all kind of selling off a little bit, now is the time, I think, now that oil's come in a bit, to start looking at some of these names. I played Q's today. Q's was a nice winner for a day, small winner for a day trade. That actually went lower after I bought it, so I was happy to get out. There's my Amazon target on the short put spread. Baba, also a small cap name that I played, ELGX targets in that, profits in that one. So I'll look at so Roku. I think this is a really interesting trade. Well, I should say really interesting chart. I could care less about what they're buying. Sorry. But somebody, again, so a trade idea, right? So somebody's buying some June 39 calls, not the biggest, I mean, pretty small, kind of notional wise, right? This is $81,000. That's nothing. That's very small trade. They did follow it up. So probably all in all, about $150,000 trade, maybe a $200,000 trade. That's not that small. It's not peanuts, but it is what it is. It's not a huge trade. Regardless, look at the chart set up in Roku. Again, this is a name with a big short interest. I think there's about I want to say around 20% short interest on Roku. So I went ahead and I bought some shares. I don't want to deal with the options. They're too expensive. They're 52% implied volatility. It's almost like dealing with a small cap biotech. So about 52% implied volatility. I think it's a $35 stock. Why even mess with the option? It will bleed away if it doesn't move, that option premium, especially short term. You're kidding me, right? Very difficult. I was talking to somebody about short-term options the other day. I mean, I don't know why people get so sucked into playing short-term options like June. If nothing happens in the stock, you'll lose 80 cents. For how many contracts? Like how many contracts are you going to play? What are you going to buy, a 10 lot? So that's $800. You could lose $800 in like 3 or 4 days if nothing happens in Roku with June options. Now, granted, I hope it goes higher because I'm long the stock, but just so you know that risk, I find it happens so much where retail investors, they don't want to go out a couple months. There's so much of a higher probability that those Roku calls will go to zero than will be a huge winner. Because again, you need to get the direction right, and you need to get the time. It has to move right away. Personally, I would rather just buy the stock, but that's me, and that's my risk. Or, go out further in time. But again, that's going to be tough, I think, with this particular name. So again, I just bought stock. The other name that I traded today was Marathon. Again, this is something that I'm kind of looking for, even though Marathon is still a little bit extended. Just coming off an overbought RSI. They bought a total of these. They bought a total of six. There was a total of 16,000 that traded, including my calls that were in there. But again, longer dated trade. Give it time. Nothing wrong with buying some January 23s for $2. Why not? Why not give yourself some time? You don't have to be in front month calls. A couple other trades that hit the tape you could kind of see. I'm not going to go through all these names. There was some Square that was bought earlier. I tried Square yesterday and got out of it, so it was going higher. I didn't see where it closed. More soup calls. I call them soup calls. Campbell's. Another big block of WWE. Some PCG calls that went up. Some Fold. I think they actually rotated in and out of some Fold calls in October. I think they rolled some of them. My opinion on that. But that is a name that I'm long, small in cash. And then just finally, I wanted to talk about a couple of the enterprise software names that reported after the close. I did not play any of these. I kind of wanted to watch what happened. It looks like Splunk had narrow beat. Splunk and Vive had narrow beats. You could see why I didn't want to play these names because I think earnings season has just been ridiculously hard. So I think even these names that had good numbers, they're not doing anything. Autodesk, I think their number was fine. But again, all of these names have run up a little bit too much. And then I think the third one was NTNX. So they're all down. They're all down or all flat. So a good no trade in these, and then we'll see what happens a few days after earnings for these enterprise and application small cap names. All right, thanks for watching the video. Have a great night, everybody, and see you tomorrow, Friday.